Before you taught English in Korea, had you ever uh, been to Korea before?
No, actually, I went to Japan twice. The first time I went was for a month, and the second time was for about like 10 days. But yeah, prior to that, I never went to Korea.
So you were in Japan a total of 40 days,
Hmm.
approximately, and you ended up just teaching in Korea.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny because I studied Japanese for 2 years. So logically, I should have just like kept trying to go to Japan, but I went to Korea instead.
So one rejection from Japan, and you were just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, because I was like, uh, I'll try something new.
Really? Just from one rejection?
Yeah, because I was like, I've been to Japan, like I ate the food out there already, and like I don't know, like I want to try something new. And K-pop was big at that time, so I was like, okay, I'll just go to Korea.
And why would you want to leave the United States just to go there? Like, what was so appealing about going to Asia or Japan or Korea that made you want to leave the United States?
Um, like K-pop was big at that time, and like I really liked the girl groups there, and so I was like, okay, like I'll go to Korea. Like it seems interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, and all my Korean friends were like, "Oh yeah, you should go." Like everyone stays up late at night and like hangs out and parties. So I just decided to go take their advice.
I see. Do you feel like you made the right choice?
Uh, it depends. Like I don't have like any regrets going to Korea because I had a really good time there. Like everyone was really cool and really nice. But in terms of like my career, I think it kind of set me back a lot because 4 years is definitely a long time uh, to live in a foreign country. And for what I do now, like in UX research, English teaching doesn't really apply directly to that job job path.
So when you went to Korea, did you have any goals about what you wanted to do while you were in Korea? Things you wanted to accomplish or things you wanted to experience?
Um, like when I first went there, actually there was this girl that I was talking to on this one app called like Who's Here, I think. And like I joked around with her, like, oh hey, like if we ever meet in Korea, like would you be down to meet up? And she was like, oh yeah, okay, ha ha ha. Like she was like, she thought it was a joke, but we actually like met up. And like the first meeting was pretty cool.
What
But
happened?
this um I met up with her in person and she brought a friend along. So and we went to a cafe and we just had a good time. I joked around with them a lot and we got to like talk about Korean culture, American culture, and we hit it off. And yeah, I'll never forget like her going down into the subway and saying like, "Oh yeah, we should like hang out again." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then I was like, "Oh wow, like this could be like the start of something new." But things went downhill the second time.
The second time you met her?
Yeah.
What happened the second time you met her?
Well, like at my Hagwon, which is like a private school, private English school, I had a coworker that was Kyopo, like a Korean American, and he had kind of like a this kind of like he was like really like charismatic, and he was like, oh dude, if you hang out with her, like just ask her to bring her friends and like have her double date. And I was like, what? Like I don't want to double date because like my experience with double dating was always bad in the past. uh but he was like my young or like my kind of like older brother, like my my friends that was older than me that I wanted to respect. So I just decided to go along with him. And the day that uh, I met with her, like the second date, like he was late in getting ready. So then I had to message her like, "Oh, sorry, like we're late," and we were late to meet at the specific location. Well, technically, I got lost, so she got mad and she was like, "Oh, where are you? Like we're looking for you." And then I was like, oh, we're at blah 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 location. But long story short, like the impression changed from like, having a good time to her being kind of like cold that entire meeting. And um my friend ended up outshining me, so he kind of ruined it.
Well, he did well for himself.
Uh, yeah, but it sucks because, like, imagine like you're sitting next to your friends and the girl like right in front of you is all like, "Oh, like I like clubbing, I like this," and like the stuff that she talked about like wasn't stuff that you talked about like in the chat. Like, say like she was like, "Oh, I don't really like hip hop music," but to that guy, she's like, "Oh yeah, I like hip hop music, I like clubbing," so like because that guy like outshined me, like she kindly totally did a 180 on me.
But she brought her own friend, right?
Yeah, and her friend was into my friend too, so it like the dynamics changed. Like I turned into a third wheel.
But if you knew that he was a charismatic guy, what did you think was going to happen?
uh I had that expectation like, oh, I'm his like dong saying like his younger brother, his younger friend, he's gonna help me out. But like he he had that personality where like he was like selfish but pretends to help you out. So like he would act all cool in front of them, and then like behind the scenes, like after they left, he's like, "Oh, dude, I was so mad. Like she shouldn't have treated you like that and stuff. Like show her your anger. Like tell her like I'm busy. Like talk to you later." So like when she messaged me, like I just did what he said, and she's like, "Okay," and then it just ended.
So you continued to listen to him even after he outshined you and got all the attention.
Yeah,
He
because
told you
I put a lot of trust in him, but he was like,
he told you to blow her off, and she was totally fine with that.
"Yeah,
And then did they continue communicating behind your
uh,
back?
yeah." He talks to her friends, but then I guess he told me like, "Oh yeah, like he blew her off and he cut communication with them."
Do you
But
believe that?
no. So eventually, like I cut him off and um, had nothing to do with them.
So you felt you were used by him.
Yeah, because I was like, or my personality was kind of like chuck on or nice. So like when we went double dating, like in clubs or bars or whatever, he would use me as like the nice guy, like kind of trying to like use me as proof to show that he's also a nice guy when he wasn't. But at that time, I didn't know that that was the strategy.
So how many times were you used by him before you finally figured out what he was doing?
It was probably like maybe 4 or 5 months because
4 or 5 months of being used?
I didn't know it at the time. Like I thought I was like supporting a friend, but yeah, like eventually I found out because I noticed his personality was different from others. Like the other foreign teachers at the school would invite me out, and then I'd be like, "Oh, okay, like cool, like let me invite so and so, like my friends," and they're like, "Oh, okay." So then like we would all meet up at like a mall or something, and then like he would come, and then all of a sudden they would be like, "Oh, hey, we'll see you later. Like we'll meet up with you later," and then like everyone kind of separated. So I was like, "What the heck? Like what's going on?" And then I realized he kind of had like a temper. So he got mad at like small stuff. So um yeah, I didn't realize that until later. And then I was like, oh, okay. So that's why like nobody like hung out with him.
So it seems like everyone knew not to be around him and they knew to avoid him.
Yeah.
But you, for 5 months or so, were being used by him constantly.
Hmm.
So what finally made you realize it?
Like one day we went to like a kimbap chongguk, like one of those like mom and pop places where they make kimchi jjigae, which is like a Korean soup
And maybe kimbap?
dish. Yeah, kimbap too.
Yeah. Hmm.
So we went there, and he had like this like really weird complex. He was like, "Oh, like that ajumma, like that old lady is like staring at me." And then I was like, "What? No, like she's not." And then he's like, "No, she's staring at me. Like even though I'm Korean, like I have Korean blood, people always judge me." I was like, "What? No." And then like he just got up and like yelled something at them and like kicked the chair, and then he like embarrassed me in front of everyone, and like the the ajumma, like the owner, was like, "Oh, Wegre, like what's going on? Like what the heck?" And then he was like, "Oh, let's get out of here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But then in the back of my mind, I was like, "Okay, this guy's like super rude. Like, why did he do this? Like, I guess he was like unstable or had some kind of mental issue."
Well, that's when you realized he had some kind of problem. But
Mhm.
when did you realize you were being used by him, though?
uh, when I cut off communication with him, because he introduced me to an izakaya owner he went to an izakaya and found out that the izakaya owner spoke like really perfect English.
Like a Japanese pub, izakaya.
Yeah, like a Japanese pub. And so like me and him went there together, and that pub owner was really like nice to me, introduced me to like his personal like group of friends, like his circle of friends, which is like I think uncommon in Korean culture. So like I became really close friends with those people, and they treated me really nice. But I noticed like my friend from the school was kind of like selfish and rude, and he just wanted to date girls all the time, and like yeah. So when I cut off communication with him, he actually went to that izakaya and then told all my friends, all my hyungs, like, "Oh, this guy like ditched me, blah 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 blah." Like he's like, he tried to like cut me down in front of all my like new friends, my new brothers. And then that was like when I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care about him. And then he's just like left, and like everyone laughed at him.
So eventually, you started avoiding him and hanging out with the friends that he introduced you to.
Hmm.
And then when you hung out with those new friends, you realized this guy is not a real friend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
Because like I had this like in Korea, there's like if you're a foreigner, you still have to be like kind of careful because you're in a foreign land, you don't speak the language, and those hyungs or brothers, they kind of took care of me. Like one example was my wangjanim at the first school that I worked at didn't pay my salary.
You should just say director.
Okay, yeah, the director of the school didn't pay my salary, so I got really mad, and I ended up trying to quit. But in Korea, you can't work at another school unless you get a letter of release. So during the time where I wasn't working, my hyungs let me stay at their houses or their homes, like one by one, and even like an American bro let me stay at his place for a while until I went back to the school and got my letter of release.
So this Korean American that you were kind of friends with, the one that was kind of using you, and he
Mm-hmm.
seemed to kind of be act a bit unhinged at times,
Mm-hmm.
yelling at shop owners and just mainly being interested in hooking up with girls.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, what's his story? This Korean American. How did he end up in Korea, and what became of him?
Uh, well, supposedly he graduated from UCSD, but he kind of like not to be like kind of racist, but he was kind of fobby, or I don't want to say anything, or I don't really like using that word, but he was like his English wasn't so good. But supposedly he was like a Kyopo, like a second generation Korean American. So he always,
So what age did he move to the United States then?
I don't know, like he wasn't born there, like he moved there at a young age, but I guess his accent was already like Korean.
But how is it
So
okay then? How is this Korean speaking?
like he told me like he didn't really speak Korean, but once in a while I would catch him speaking Korean um, to like shop owners and stuff. So I think he just wanted like to play up this facade that he was, like an American when,
Even to you?
yeah,
For what purpose?
I don't know, probably just for ego. Like he probably wanted to feel like he was an American Korean.
Is it that good to feel American? I don't understand.
I don't understand. I don't understand either because, uh,
You don't think maybe he just speaks a little bit of Korean and he's good with ordering food and that's it?
yeah. But what's funny is like he'll like play up like how he was like American and like but Korean, and then like Koreans would be like, oh, like 진짜 미국 사람이에요? Like, is he like really American? Because he would try to like say like, oh yeah, I can teach you English, blah 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 blah. But you know, like the Koreans in Korea, like they study English from a young age, and their Korean, I know their English was sometimes actually like better than his. So
So what's up
this,
with his English? What is it like?
uh, like his articles were messed up, like just his grammar, like you can tell like it wasn't perfect English, like it wasn't native speaker English. Like I can't think of an example, but um like yeah, he
Okay,
was
how about
just
his
like,
personality? What was he? You said charismatic. What
mhm.
made him charismatic? I mean, if he's so charismatic, how come people didn't like him?
Oh, people didn't like him, but first impressions, like he was always like, oh hey, like how's it going, like oh I'm blah 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 blah, like I'm an MC at a club, blah blah. So like he was like this kind of guy that like, oh, okay, he seems like a cool guy, he's like outgoing, he's friendly. But then like when you get to see him for who he really is, then yeah, it was kind of bad.
So he's very outgoing, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he's an MC at a club.
Or he was, but I guess he kind of begged the club owners to let him feature his music because he claimed to be a producer, but he was pretty much like an amateur.
Hmm. Okay, and I guess that wasn't the first friend that you made in Korea that ended up being a user.
Yeah,
How many friends did you meet in Korea um, that ended up being just users, in your opinion?
I guess probably like more than two,
Like three?
perhaps three.
Did you make
But
any like genuine, real friends? I don't mean just people you're kind of cool with and chat with, but like
mhm.
real, like genuine, lifelong friends.
Oh yeah, my Korean hyungs,
How
like
many?
a lot, because
Really?
the izakaya owner had like a large circle of friends,
And they're
and
all your long time, they're all going to be your lifelong friends?
oh yeah, definitely. I still keep in touch with them through Kakao Talk, which is like a Korean messenger app.
But how many of
Uh,
them are there?
uh,
Like 10, 30, 50?
I'd say like probably 10 really close ones, and then extended is probably like 15.
You're really close with 10 Koreans?
Mhm.
How close are you?
Like brothers, like really close. If I had to borrow money, they would let me borrow money, and like of course I would pay back. And they taught me about um, having manners in Korea and like how to be like how to follow Korean society's rules and things like that. Like they're like really good teachers. So like even though I was a teacher in Korea, like an English teacher, they were a teacher to me, like how to treat people nice and respect culture.
So you actually made 10 true friends.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Who else did you meet in Korea that disappointed you, apart from this Korean American?
Oh, there was an American guy that pretended to be rich and pretended to be like some like big shot business guy, but he
What do you
turned
mean
out to be a
American guy, like a
scammer.
white guy?
Yeah, he was white and I guess supposedly half Filipino too, but I don't really I don't really think he was.
So he's like a white guy, but he said he's half Filipino?
That's what he says, but I don't really trust anything that he says. But he might be because he can look half Filipino at
So
times.
he's white passing.
Yeah, white passing.
So you met him, and aren't you half Filipino?
Yeah.
So, well, how'd you meet him? What's the deal with him?
Well, I had a friend that was a YouTuber in Korea, and like it was like Veterans Day or something, and this guy posted on his wall, or maybe it wasn't Veterans Day, but anyways, I noticed that this guy was supposedly a veteran. So being from a Navy family myself, I messaged him and commented on his post and said, "Oh, thank you for your service." And then he messaged me back and said like, "Oh, hey, like you seem cool, like we should meet up sometime." And I was like, "Okay." Because like military families, you automatically assume, okay, he was in the military, like he is a trustworthy guy. So I just trusted him because I trusted my YouTuber friends, and I met up with them.
Okay, and who's this YouTuber friend?
Oh, it's a secret because I don't want to involve him, but he's
I
pretty
mean,
big.
but you can, I mean, how did you meet your YouTuber friend?
Oh, I met him through another friend's um, that I met at a club.
Did you go to lots of clubs?
Yeah.
hmm Are you still friends with the YouTuber?
Yeah, he's my friend, but like we're not like super super close, but I can message him like every once in a while.
Is he Korean?
Oh no, he's European.
European guy living in Korea.
Mhm.
What's he doing in Korea?
Just YouTubing.
He went from Europe to Korea to do YouTube?
No, he was an English teacher as well.
hmm So you met someone at a club who introduced you to the European YouTuber, who introduced you to, or who you met through this YouTuber, you met this American guy who was a veteran,
Supposedly, yeah,
and you decided to message him because he's a veteran
yeah.
and thank him for his service.
Mhm. I regret that now though, but I
You
learned my lesson.
did you maybe message him because you thought he looked cool and you wanted to be part of his social circle?
No, it was just pretty genuine. Like I was like, okay, he was in the Navy, I guess. So I'm from a Navy family.
Do
So
you do you do that normally? You just randomly message veterans and thank them for their service?
nope. Or maybe if it's like a popular person on Facebook, or I would like send a thank you message. But
And he
like I
seemed
don't,
like a popular guy.
mm, not really. It just seemed like a normal guy. Like I don't go out of my way to meet other foreigners in Korea. Like in Korea, like I pretty much just wanted to hang out with like Korean people so I can understand the culture. And
hmm
because in America you can hang out with like Americans all the time, or you know, I just wanted to hang out with like I wanted to be immersed in the culture.
So when you met this guy who claims to be half Filipino, you say,
Mm-hmm.
what happened? I mean, how did he ended up being a disappointment?
Oh, because when I came back from Korea in 2015, like I noticed the job market in America like still kind of sucked, and I started my own business, and I guess he saw that and wanted to take advantage of that. So he messaged me and was like, "Oh, hey, like, do you want to start a business? Like, I'll finance everything. You just manage it all. Like, you don't have to worry about finances."
So he had the money and he just wanted you to, use your skills.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, this is like a good deal. Like, I don't have to risk anything. But I realized later that he had me make the company in my name because by doing so, he removes his liability and he got access to my credit cards. So
I thought he had all the money though.
yeah, so what he did was he would deposit his $2,000 paycheck from his job or whatever, and then that money would pay the minimums on the credit cards.
What was his job?
He was some kind of like industrial salesperson that did business in Asia.
So he was selling stuff in Asia,
Mhm.
industrial parts in Asia,
Mhm.
and his salary was about 2,000 a month, you're saying?
Yeah, which doesn't make sense to me because if you're doing that kind of business and you're an engineer, I guess, if you have a master's in some kind of engineering, like I'm pretty sure you would make more than 2,000 a month, right? So like things didn't add up, but because he was my friend, I trusted him. So I didn't really want to question that. And later I found out he was doing all this on a tourist visa, long term in Korea.
So would you say that you're maybe a bit too trusting of others?
Oh yeah, because I grew up with like a Christian background growing up, and like I don't know, like we're kind of taught like not to judge people, like trust people first, like but you know, like now, like I don't really trust anybody like right away. Like I always think like, okay, like what's their intention or what's their what's their intention with me? Like why are they being nice to me? Is it because I studied business stuff or do they see something that I have that they want? Like that experience with that person like made me really lose trust in people.
But you were, we had a discussion recently.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about how one of your own friends or your friend's spouse was using you. I
Uh,
mean,
mhm.
do you still come across these people who try to take advantage of you? I mean, it seems like you do.
Yeah, because I guess I'm too open. Like on social media, like I used to be pretty open about like what's going on in my life and or like my business plans or things like that. And what I realized later, or what I realize now, is people see that and they get kind of greedy. Like they want to take shortcuts because it takes like years to, you know, gather all this knowledge about like social media, digital marketing, making businesses and stuff like that. So I realized like I like to naturally help people, but people kind of take advantage of that. So you can't be too nice with people.
You went into business with a white passing half Filipino-American guy
Mm-hmm.
who said he had the money and you just had to use your skills, but somehow it ended up that you had access to your credit or something.
Yeah, my corporate credit cards.
So
Because
actually, your own money was being used, I guess.
yeah, because what happened was he convinced me to do like all these like business projects, and those business projects cost money. So he loaded up my corporate cards with a lot of debt, but I saw that he put in $2,000 every month and paid the minimums on the credit cards, on the corporate cards. So I figured like, okay, he's like paying every month. But then I noticed that he used his personal expenses on the cards. And then he was like, oh, like this is like a tax write-off. Like you don't have to worry about this, blah, 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 blah.
Personal
So
expenses such as what?
like he went to the Philippines, um, like just daily expenses, like, and then like he would like the points that accrued for the cards, like he would give to me. So I thought it was a good deal at first. I was like, okay, like you know, he's paying this off, and I'm getting like the point rewards from the card usage, and he's gonna pay everything off. So I was like, okay, like this is a good deal. But eventually, when it like after about 9 months, I realized like, okay, like he's paying the minimums, but the interest charges are going up on the corporate cards. He's making excuses. And then I found out like later on, like when it was too late, that he scammed another friend. So I threatened him or I didn't threaten him. Like I told him like, okay, like pay everything back, or else I'm gonna report you. And he kind of twisted it around and tried to make me look like the bad guy. Um, so eventually, like 2 years later, after 2 years of reporting, he got deported from Korea, and supposedly now he's in the Philippines.
Wow. Do your parents know about this, or
Oh yeah, like they were really mad.
do you think you'll ever get taken advantage of like this again?
No, because I don't plan to do any business like with friends.
You
Like,
think you'll ever let anyone take advantage of your time again, like recently happened with your friend's spouse?
no, because if I ever do anything, I'm not gonna do favors for friends of friends or friends' spouses. Like, I'd rather have just like a contract in place where it's like I do something and like once it's finished, like it's over. Like I don't provide like support or anything. Like I can direct people to where they can get support, but I'm not
What if
gonna
they
use my time.
really ask you, like, please just help me out? What would you say?
No, because what happens is there's uh like if you give an inch, you give. I forgot the expression, but
They take a mile?
yeah. So I've been in that situation, so I don't ever want to be in that situation again.
So the last time was this year.
Yeah,
So never again.
yeah, never again.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and that thing is like that incident, that disappointment, that disappointing friend you made in Korea,
Mhm.
that that didn't even happen in Korea. That happened after you came back.
Oh yeah, because when I came back, the job market like really sucked, and I didn't want to work a 9 to 5. So I figured like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start my own Amazon FBA business. I'm gonna work remotely, and when I make all this income, I can go back to Korea anytime and visit my friends and hang out and have fun. So that guy
Okay.
took advantage of that kind of motivation.
What about while you were in Korea? Did you meet any other shady people?
Yeah.
Who? Like what kind of person?
um, I guess I met like a club promoter.
A club promoter.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened there? Were you really into the club scene then?
Mm, well, like I went to clubs sparingly, like
Like what, every week?
uh, or before this person, maybe I would just go like once or twice.
I
Like,
mean, at your peak, how often were you going clubbing? Were you going clubbing even like twice a week?
oh yeah, like twice a week. Yeah,
Like Fridays and Saturdays, you would go clubbing?
yeah, like yeah, all night, like Bulgum, like Burning Friday. Like I would party all night Friday, sleep all day Saturday morning to afternoon, and then club again on Saturday night.
What were you doing at these clubs? Just
Uh,
drinking or what?
yeah, just drinking at tables.
Because I kind of knew you a little bit before you went to Korea. I didn't know you that well, but
Mhm.
you were some dude from the suburbs. I don't think you ever really went clubbing or partying or anything like that. Um, so when you went to Korea, I guess that was your time to like really get out there and be wild, I guess.
Uh, well, like in San Diego where I grew up, I went clubbing, but not as like it wasn't crazy like every week like in Korea, but maybe once a month, once every couple months. But yeah, in Korea, like it was just party mode pretty much every weekend.
And what would it be like to go clubbing in Korea?
Um, it was really exciting, like initially, because I remember, like after my first year in Korea, I was like, okay, like I've been here for a year, I should probably head home. But one of my dongsangs, my younger friends, he was like, oh, like let's go clubbing. So me and him and my hyungs, we got a table in like this really big club in Korea, and we had table service, and I looked around and I was like, oh my gosh, like everyone looks like a K-pop like idol, like K-pop singer. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay like another year in Korea. So I ended up staying for like 3 more years because of that one moment.
So you were going to go home back to the US after a year of teaching English,
Hmm.
but all it took was one night at a club, looking around and thinking these girls around here look like K-pop idols.
Yeah.
And because of that, you stayed 3 more years,
Hmm.
essentially for the women.
Uh, or not just for the women. Like I got attached to my hyungs, but
No,
I got
but you
as a
said
guy.
what made you stay was seeing those girls.
Yeah,
So you
like
stayed for the women.
yeah, I'm a guy, so
Okay, yeah, I mean that's fine. So you stayed for the women.
mhm.
Okay. And that's why you went clubbing all the time, was to meet women,
Yeah,
not to meet guys, right?
yeah. I didn't want to meet guys. Like,
So what kind of women did you meet at the clubs? What was that like? Was it fun, exciting? I mean, like,
um,
tell me the story of like, one of the first girls you met at a club, something that you remember.
uh, well, like there's this one girl that always hung out in our group, and I always thought like, oh wow, she's like super pretty, like she's like Korean Mariah Carey. And then I was like, oh, but like in Korea, like Filipinos kind of have like a bad image, like kind of like how Mexicans have a bad image in the US, like kind of like lower status, like uh but like I'm a little bit Mexican too, but anyways, I was like, oh yeah, she's not gonna be into me, but like we just like hung out and like drank and we started making out one day, and um yeah.
So what happened? You guys ended up dating or what?
She wanted to, but then I was like, nah, like I don't want to date her,
Why?
cause or
Is
cause
she
like
pretty?
yeah, she was pretty, like
So if she's pretty, and the reason why you wanted to stay in Korea was because of pretty women,
mhm.
why was she not good enough for you to date, even
uh
though she wanted to date you?
well, cause I guess I was like nuni opta, like nuni, like I had like really high expectations, like I wanted someone,
You have high standards, you mean?
yeah.
Okay, but she's pretty and she wants to date you. How much higher can you go?
uh well, like I heard like stuff from people in the group, like she makes out with like everyone, so that was kind of like a turn off, and not just make out, like I guess she was with a lot of guys, so
But you made out with her.
yeah. But I don't know, at that time I was like my late 20s and I was kind of looking for, I don't know, marriage or like a good girl, like so
So that's why you're going to clubs all the time.
yeah, so yeah, that's hypocritical. So yeah, like I don't know, I was just weird.
So one of the first women you remember meeting at a club that is about this girl that was already part of a group of people you used to hang out with anyway,
Mhm,
and you made out with her, and I guess you liked her to some extent, but
mhm.
even though she was pretty and she wanted to date you, you didn't want to because of what other people were saying about her.
uh yeah, which is bad, like, but also like I wanted like someone even I wanted someone even better, like someone that looked like Kim Tae Hee or Song Hye Kyo, or like because when you're in
Someone who
like
looks like a celebrity.
yeah, so I know that's a bad personality trait, but
So you felt
I'm just
that
being honest.
you obviously felt that you were deserving of much better
Uh,
in terms of looks.
yeah, but I know she was like super kind, and like I regret it, like regret it now, but um, yeah, I was just a young guy that was kind of papa, kind of dumb, because I didn't realize like what I had back then.
Okay, so that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, like I had a ton of those.
You had a lot of missed opportunities. You had a lot of chances.
Yeah, you can say that.
And how many girlfriends, like how many relationships did you end up having in your 4 years in Korea? Out of all your chances, how many ended up becoming, something you saw through?
Oh, I guess probably just one. Like,
Probably one. What do you mean
yeah.
by probably? Is it
Uh,
maybe 0 or 1? Do you mean?
oh no, there was one for sure. I dated like a lot of girls, but by the third date, like I realized like, oh, they just wanted friendship, or they weren't into me. So,
But one of them, it actually worked out into a relationship.
yeah, like a 1 month relationship.
A 1 month relationship.
Yeah.
What ended it? How did it end after 1 month?
Basically, when I went back to America for vacation, she all of a sudden acted kind of cold, and I was like, "What the heck? Like, why is she like all of a sudden like cold?" And then I realized later that she went back to her ex-boyfriend, so she
Hmm.
kind of just threw me away.
Back to her ex-boyfriend?
Yeah.
So was she dating somebody and then she left her boyfriend to be with you and then she left you to be back with her boyfriend?
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
So were you just a side chick?
uh,
A
yeah,
side dude?
yeah. I guess side bro.
Oh, is that what they call it? Side bro?
I don't know. Like, I just made it up.
So she was sort of cheating on her boyfriend with you for a short while, and you considered it a real relationship, and she just saw you as just a side guy.
Uh, not or not exactly, because like like I knew she had a boyfriend the first time we hung out, but like it's complicated. Like I don't want to say like I didn't make any moves, because I did make moves by inviting her out and hanging out. But I told her like yeah, like you're still with him, but I really like you. And I took her all the way to her house like in a taxi, like instead of going by subway. So yeah, I guess I was actively pursuing her while she had a boyfriend. And then she told me like she left him when we got serious. So I was like, okay, like they're not together anymore, so it's okay. So
And that lasted 1 month.
yeah,
Um,
like before I left, like we were gonna get like couple rings and stuff like that.
Couple rings.
Yeah.
Oh, like rings that you wear as a couple, like they look the same. Hmm. So was that your one and only relationship then?
Pretty much. Like there were girls that liked me, but I was just too picky. Like I didn't go for them.
Yeah, the girl at the club, you said you didn't go for her because other people were saying things about her, and yet you pursued a woman who already had a boyfriend.
Yeah. So that was that was my bad. Like, but she was, I don't know. She was actually prettier.
Who was prettier?
Uh, the the girl that I had a relationship with.
Oh, the girl you had the 1 month relationship was prettier than the girl from the club.
Yeah, and or like I also talked to her more, and like we had a deeper connection.
Hmm.
Oh, what's the Google stop?
What's that?
I have, it was my Google timer, so I have to
Okay.
change the battery on the